everyone, I'm Vanna from TBR Trio, and today we are at Charm City Books in Baltimore, Maryland. Today we're sitting down with not one, but two authors, Stephanie Combs and Valerie Rivers, who also happen to be sisters. They co-wrote the series The Stars Would Curse Us. It's an epic romantic fantasy. I cannot wait to talk about it with them. Before we dive in, please note that this book has some content that is not friendly for young adults. We recommend to read the trigger warnings and content warnings in the beginning of the book before you dive into it. Last but not least, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future author interviews and you're up to date with all of our events and activities on TBR Trio. Please join me in welcoming Stephanie and Valerie. Thank you guys for being here today.
Thank you.
How are you guys doing?
Good. We're so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to talk to you guys. I have a lot of thoughts about this book. You guys are our first co-authors, so we are so excited to talk to you guys. And we can't wait to learn all about you guys, your relationship as sisters, how that evolved to being co-authors and publishing your first series. But before we dive into all the good stuff, I have a couple questions. Just some icebreakers to kind of loosen you guys up a little bit.
Sounds good.
Would you rather fight one dragon-sized duck or 100 duck-sized dragons?
I don't know who came up with this question.
My mind. My mind.
I think 100 duck-sized dragons because they'd be so cute. I'd have them following me around by the end.
But what if they're like aggressive?
I mean, here's the thing: we both have small children, so we're used to wrangling the little monsters. So
That's fair.
I do
That's
think
fair.
ducks can be kind of intense, so a large duck might be pretty terrifying. So maybe, I guess it depends on whether or not they're breathing fire,
Yeah.
and me.
I think as moms, I think we could wrangle the little monsters better, right?
Well,
That's fair.
Let's make it more fun. The ducks do breathe fire.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa. It's one intense
I mean,
duck.
they're dragons.
That's why you have a hose.
Is one hose enough for like a big dragon though?
I don't know.
All right, between the two of you guys, who is the like super organized and who is the not so organized? Kind of like go with the flow?
She's the organized one. I'm the kind of she has to wrangle me.
But at the same time, when it comes to writing and everything, I'm very much a pantser, go by the seat of my pants. Like, even with social media, I wish that I could be more prepared and have everything scheduled up in advance. And sometimes I might actually manage to get like a few things batched. But for the most part, it's just like, I need to post something. Okay, let me just wing it. And so it's like, yes, I'm organized, but I'm also very much unorganized.
But she's much better, like much more organized, especially business-wise as well, because she's the one who manages to figure out how to book things like this and the events and the conventions.
You just show up.
She's always like, Valerie, like, hurrying me along because I'll get lost in La La Land. And
I am the oldest sister.
yeah, that's probably it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So us younger sisters, we gotta just let the older sibling rock,
Hey, I'm a middle child, so I had that syndrome where but she doesn't forget me. She has to keep bringing me in because I'll just get lost.
I love that. It's a good relationship. Do you guys have any like sister traditions? Do you
With writing or
just in general?
in general?
Yeah. Could be writing, could be.
We have like familial traditions. Our family is Estonian on our dad's side, and our grandfather it was really important to him to give us a sense of our identity and our heritage. So we've, grown up with a lot of Estonian traditions, even though growing up in the U.S.
Yeah, one of the main traditions that we've had, and we carried it on even since he passed a few years ago, is that Christmas Eve, we get together, our families, and we would sing songs to invite Joululana, which is the Estonian version of Santa Claus. And he would show up, and we'd have to perform to receive a gift. And so we'd have our entire family with 20 plus cousins and aunts and uncles, and we'd all get together and we'd all be doing dances and songs and poems and playing the piano.
And everybody participates. Like, there's no such thing as like, no, I'm too shy, I'm not going to do it. Every single person participates.
So what do you guys
Even if
do?
it's like something really like, a lot of times last minute planned, like, okay, we're going to sing this song together.
We're very
You
musical.
harmonize.
So our family's also very musical. so
Yeah,
we usually would sing songs or duets. Or I think like last Christmas, my other sister Holly and we sang a duet of the Wicked song "For Good."
Heidi and our youngest sister, we did Santa Baby, and
So
we just
I
went
we're
to
just,
Parents of
yes,
Blessed.
we were very. I think the one year we did actually read like the
Oh, yeah,
prologue
we-
of our
yeah,
book because our
yeah.
book had just come out. We're like,
Yeah.
oh, we'll just do that's for Are You?
I once
Alone?
did a CPR or like a first responder example.
So we get very creative.
Yeah.
I love. Can I be invited one year? Like, this sounds amazing.
The
Like,
more people, the merrier. It's fun. It's really fun, And
I mean, as our
it's
families
special.
have grown,
the kids
like-
will do dances.
as our families have grown, we're not doing as much with like all the cousins and aunts and uncles anymore because now it's like our kids are the kids, which it's funny how things change. But we're in a big family. I'm the oldest of 5, and we all have 1 to 4 children, somewhere in that range. I mean, so there's like I think 13 grandkids or something.
family get-togethers must be like insane.
It's a little bit wild, yeah. I'm preparing for a birthday party tomorrow with all the family coming over to celebrate my daughter's 12th birthday, so that'll be fun. And yeah.
Happy birthday, early birthday to your daughter. Can I ask, when you guys read the prologue to your family, how did they react? Did they have a reaction or?
I mean, they're all very supportive and very proud of us.
Okay.
I really,
They've all read the book too.
yeah, almost like I was really surprised. My dad actually, who's not a big reader, he read them all like this past winter because right before book 2 came out, and
Yeah, he really enjoyed them.
yeah, it was funny because he sent me a copy of his review that he posted on Amazon. He's like, I surprisingly.
Well, because you're a
enjoyed
man,
this."
you're thinking like, oh, is a 60-year-old man going to relate with the story about like 2 young female main characters? Like, so, but it's been great to hear that we've had like male readers who loved the book and enjoyed it just as much as anyone else. So that's really nice.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's
He
great.
doesn't read fantasy, so he was like, I was able to understand it. So
Okay.
That's all that matters, is that he understood it.
helps. And
Yeah.
even my grandmother has read the books.
Yeah.
What? That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I mean, and she told us that like the spicy part was her favorite part, which that was a little bit awkward, and I
okay.
just don't even talk about it with my dad because I just want to pretend he'd never read any of that, It's just-
There is like a little warning at the beginning of a chapter in this book that says something like, "Mom, just
Don't make eye
don't make
contact."
eye contact, and just you can skip to the next chapter. You won't miss anything important." Like,
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious. I feel like, oh my god, that's so like being like an author and then having like spicy scenes and stuff, and then knowing that your family reads it. It's like, please don't look at me differently.
I know. I was like, I told my mom with, the next book, it's a little bit more on the spicy side, and I was like, I'm not gonna write you like a note because you're gonna read it anyway. And she's just like, we just don't have to talk about it. I'm like, it's probably better.
Yeah.
Just pretend it's
well,
not
she
happening.
thought that the novella was racy, so we were like, "Oh, don't read the second book because it's a little racier." I don't know. I think it's the scenes. It's still. I would still consider it sort of cracked door, but they might be a little bit longer, and so kind of feels more. I mean, we're not using like very descriptive, vulgar terms or like what's the word?
It's not descriptive.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Explicit.
You know,
It's not
yeah, we're not
explicit.
using explicit terms to describe what's happening, but you know what's happening. So,
That
So
is-
the series does get a little bit spicier as you
Yeah.
go. I mean, you haven't finished it yet.
and
I'm
maybe
here for
a little
it.
bit more risque themes, voyeurism and some things like that.
Or a library ladder.
Yes.
Okay. It took me a second. I was like, wait, what?
I mean, imagine what you can do with a library ladder. I mean, it does.
I haven't thought about it. You have more of it.
Okay, I feel like you could probably do a pretty cool photo shoot with a library ladder.
Yes, I wrote it because I wanted to inspire my husband to build me a home library with a built-in like rolling ladder. So I was like, well, maybe if I write this scene and he reads it, then he'll do it. But I ended up just building the library myself. So As you should.
And now you have a ladder.
And, yeah. I haven't used it in that way yet.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Sorry, I'll start flushing over here.
Oh, whew, I told you it was going to be spicy. Let's rewind because I know we're so excited to talk about this book. I'm so excited. But I do want to know first, what made you guys want to become writers? Tell us a little bit about that.
So I've been writing since I was younger. When I was a kid, I would write my own full-length. Historical fiction was my jam, especially ones that starred me, my best friend. And, you know, we've married brothers and have lots of children. Like, that was... those were the stories that I used to write. So I always loved romance, okay? I just never really thought that I would ever actually publish something because, I mean, it's a hard world. The publishing world is not easy. And then when I was in college, I studied film and television production, and I really enjoyed writing for TV and doing news, and I wrote, like, for the school paper, and I just ultimately decided to not go that route because the schedule is very hard if you want a family. I mean, they work very long hours, and it's not an easy life. And as much as I enjoy it, it wasn't what I felt called to do. And fast forward however many years later, I had tried writing a book one November when it was, National Novel Writing Month. I was like, hey, I'm going to try to write a book. And I maybe got 40,000 words and I'm like, yeah, this isn't happening. I don't have it in me. Or something happened. Actually, no, I know I met my husband. That's what happened. I got very distracted by my husband.
Husbands do that.
We were just, friends at the time, but our romance started and I kind of got distracted. So blame him for that. But really what came down to it was I just never really thought that I had an original enough of a story to tell. I always loved to read, but coming up with an idea that felt something fresh and something new felt completely out of reach. And on one of my birthdays, I don't remember I think it was like in 2023, I guess. Yeah, it was 2023. Valerie called me up on my birthday, and I had talked to her about how, oh yeah, I read 100 books last year. And she's like, you're basically have a PhD in romantasy. You should write your own. I said, well, but I don't have any ideas.
And I'm like, oh, well, I have so many ideas. And funny story, and I don't know if I even told you this. Holly might remember, but a few months before that, in the fall, I had suddenly been inspired to write, and I started writing a book, a romantasy book, and I wrote 2 chapters, and then nothing ever happened after that. I just kind of fizzled out. So I have ideas, but I just can't.
That's the cute thing.
I can't complete them, And so then when Stephanie and I she's like, oh, I want to write a book, but I don't know if I have any unique ideas. I'm like, I have the ideas, but I don't think I could complete anything. So I was like, well, let me just pitch some ideas. I started coming up with some ideas, and I don't know if I was texting you or what.
We
but
were on the phone.
She was kind of like, wait, that actually might sound good. We might have something with that. And I think by working together, we started a Google Docs, and we just started kind of adding to it, and it just was motivating enough for me to get me to actually do something. And then when she would write, our sisterly competition would kind of come in, so she'd be like, oh, I wrote 1,000 words today. I'm like, oh, I got to write 1,000 words. So we kind of just, want to keep up, but also want to see where the story goes. So it was really.
I mean, it kind of just.
I don't think
happened.
I could never have. I don't think I would have ever written a book.
I was going to say, Valerie, was partnering with your sister, did it help you put words on paper?
Well, yeah, because it just, having that other person kind of because a lot of times you think oh, I don't know if any of my ideas are good. Maybe they sound good to me, but other people are going to think they're dumb. Mm-hmm. And when she liked my ideas and kind of validated that, it motivated me more. But then it was just really exciting because I would write something and she'd give me this awesome feedback, so it would make me want to keep writing. Whereas when I wrote before on my notes app, I would just write something and I didn't have anyone to bounce that off of, you know.
Well, and then for me, even just when I start something, I generally like to finish it, with exception to the book that I didn't finish when I met my husband.
Is that book still in existence?
I don't know. I don't have that computer anymore.
Oh,
so
okay.
I think it's lost to the ether.
Okay.
It wasn't very good. And also I think part of it was I was kind of writing it about an ex-boyfriend, and then when I met my husband, it was just like, I don't want to write about this guy anymore. You know, so it just kind of was like, this story isn't worth telling anymore. But ultimately, I think us doing it together, it gave us the courage to actually try, because doing it alone is very daunting. And when you have someone, a partner, you know, bounce ideas off of and just also feel like, hey, this maybe doesn't completely suck. It was very motivating. And we didn't tell anybody. We're just like, you know what? Let's see if we can finish this. We started in January. If we can finish this by July, which is her birthday.
Yeah, just get a first draft out.
If we can do this, then maybe we'll tell people. And then we had a whole draft done in like April.
And this was the
This
series.
starts with Cursus.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
So then we were like, oh my gosh, we can hire an editor. And like, it just kind of snowballed. We did not expect it to happen like as quickly as it did. Because, I mean, we started in January of 2023, and the book came out January 2024.
And I didn't expect it. Like, it was kind of like a challenge for me when we started. I was like, let's make this a challenge. If the book sucks at the end, like once we finish writing it, if we're like, oh, this is terrible, we don't have to show it to anyone. Let's see if we can even do it. And so it was just kind of this fun, like, challenge to do. We were both still, I think, breastfeeding when we started it. So like we were, you know, I would be in bed breastfeeding, writing on my phone in my other hand, and like trying to write like on my break at work, and like we were just trying, like, but it gave me so much excitement for the first time about something after like kind of going through like an interesting phase of my life. So it was just really exciting to suddenly have this creative outlet, and then to be able to work through any kind of challenges or plot holes, or like, you know, if we had doubts, we were able to kind of talk to each other. Like, you know, a lot of times you have negative thoughts, or, you know, insecurities get in the way. And so we were able to kind of like pump each other up and have someone who's equally invested to really help motivate you and pump you up. So that was really, really great experience. I don't think I ever could have written a book without her support. So like, can I do it now? Maybe, because I've done it before. I still don't think I'll finish anything.
As I was going to say, having experience writing a series with someone and then writing a book alone, it is very, very different. And the imposter syndrome hits really, really hard. There were so many times where I'm just like, I think this is terrible and nobody's going to read it or like it. And not having the immediate feedback. Like with her, like every time we'd write, we get immediate feedback from the other person because they get the updates. And when you're writing just all by yourself in your own little jug, and you're just like, I don't know, this is probably terrible. It is very, very hard. And I almost didn't think I could do it either. So would I have ever done it by myself starting out? I don't know. But I'm very grateful that she pushed me to do something and get me out of my comfort zone and realize that it's never too late to follow a dream. Like, I always had dreamed of having a book published in a store and being able to see like, oh, there's, you know, a book that I wrote in the store. And I never thought that was ever going to happen. And
That's amazing.
so, yeah, I mean, like, that's the dedication in our book was specifically just like, it's never too late. And no, like, I can't think of the exact wording of it.
I have it. Hold on. I have it.
But it was almost like a message to ourselves and to other people out there like us who might feel that way, that it's never too late to follow your dreams. Like, a lot of times you think those things that you want are for someone else, but it can be for you too. Just like, and what's the worst that could go wrong? You know, we were just like, we could try to write this book and then it's not very good and then we won't publish it. But what if we write it and what if it is good and what if people like it?
I can confirm I loved it. So I oh my God, I loved it so
like,
much.
What's the worst thing in trying? Like, just go for it, you know?
That's beautiful. I love, and like I said, I'm sure I'm speaking for a lot of people that have read this book. It was a very fantastic book. I loved it. And I do have the dedication. Okay. It's for the ones who went their whole lives waiting for permission to chase their dreams. This is it. It's beautiful. I loved it. Oh my God. As soon as I read that, I was like, I'm going to like this book. Sometimes you can just tell from the dedication. It's just so heartfelt. And I love that it was your personal experience and I love that. And you're sharing it with everybody.
And surprisingly, it worked really well, because when we came up with the idea, there's these two characters, and Valerie really wanted to write Ayla, and I really felt compelled to write Arianwen, which is kind of funny because Arianwen is the healer and Valerie's the nurse. So the one nice thing is she'd always be like, okay, that doesn't make sense. They would never do that. Like that, she would help make sure that the healing.
That's right, because you're a
Stuff would be
nurse.
accurate.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's
So-
awesome.
And it was funny because another nurse, one of our readers, and she's a nurse, and she sent me a message on Instagram, and she was like, "Thank you for protecting the C-spine." And this one thing, and I'm like, someone gets it. So like, because, and that was actually an edit that I had made because I think originally, when she wrote it, because she doesn't know all of the medical.
I don't know what to do in an emergency. Like,
Yeah.
really.
And some of the stuff I actually had to consult my ex-husband because he was a paramedic. So I'm like, oh, I was an ICU nurse. I didn't really do first responder type things, although I've taken CPR and first, aid, all those things a bunch of times. It's still, I would have to kind of be like, is this right? Like, can you let me know if there's anything we did wrong here? Like, or we should.
That's why it is good
Yeah.
to consult experts.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Exactly.
Because otherwise,
Because you don't want to have a moment where it's like it takes the person out. Like, wait, that's not. You do not shock asystole. Okay, like.
I don't know what that means. That's all.
I was gonna say, am I supposed to know what that means? Because I don't.
I think it comes from like, watching TV shows where you're like.
There was a moment in a certain very famous author's book where somebody died and then they used lightning to resuscitate and bring the person back to life. And I guess in fantasy that works, but to me, I was just kind of like, wait.
The nurse in you was like,
Yeah, I was like,
nope.
No,
No.
you have to still your heart's still beating. You have to shock it back into yeah, to shock a dead person. Maybe you could like in like the Frankenstein world,
Maybe not in the real world, but yeah, in fiction, yeah,
It's
totally.
fantasy, right? Some rules don't
But it
matter.
definitely took me
Yeah.
out of the story. I was like, wait a second.
Well, how do you guys? Well, first of all, I do want to ask: did this experience and you guys writing this book, did it bring you guys closer together?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because we were talking literally every single day, and not just every single day. It was like multiple times a day. Texting,
Marco Polo.
and we hadn't been like. It's funny because there was a time in our life where we were like kind of like enemies, like when like high school, college age, like where we didn't really get.
Stephanie's
along.
like, whoa, were we?
Yeah.
I wouldn't call us enemies.
I mean, we weren't like we didn't get along. We were kind of mean to each other, like when I was in high school. At
But we
least.
weren't trying to, actually unalive each other.
No, we just gave each other dirty looks and stuff, like maybe. But the point is, no, but we had some really great moments too. Like
We were
Enemies.
enemies.
No, that's right. I mean, she
Just
just
like a frenemies
She took
type
me
of
to
thing.
see Wicked at the Pantages Theater, and like we waited in line for freaking forever to try to get like those.
Signatures.
Yeah, and anyway, and we had some great moments, but we had parts where we in our lives where we didn't really talk or see each other for like years or long periods of time. Besides our Yolovana, or our annual Yolovana. I think when we became moms, we started talking more and we started to become closer because we had that kind of thing in common to relate about. And then when the book started, it just like we became inseparable. Like we were just constantly on the phone, Marco Polo, texting. Everything, yeah.
And now I'm assuming you guys are like best friends, right? You guys talk every day, right?
There's been a little bit of like a lull because we finished our series, so
Yeah.
now kind of things.
Valerie had personal.
I had
stuff.
personal things going on, and Stephanie was focused on writing her book, so we've kind of, But now I just moved to Maryland, so we're closer together, and we can spend more time, and I'm hoping that we can do another project together.
And I have a 9-year-old son who is very thrilled to have a cousin who is a boy cousin.
Yes.
Who's not like
oh my
2.
God. And they're already like
So-
this. They're like on
I think he's
FaceTime.
like 7.
They're literally FaceTiming each other like 10 times a day now.
Yeah, no. So I think
They've taken over our connection.
I love
but
that.
it's nice, having
River's 8.
seeing yes, they're not that far apart in age, but having that close cousin connection because all the other cousins are like girls or younger boys. So I think for him it's super nice to have that, and for us we always loved being close to our cousins, and so it's actually really special that for the first time in I don't even know how many years, all of our siblings live within like an hour radius of each other, and we can actually get together. And do
Yeah,
things,
that's
and birthday
awesome.
parties and stuff like that.
That's awesome. So you guys kind of rekindled. I love that for you guys. So walk us through like what what is the structure in terms of like writing? Like, does one person do the plotting and one does like the editing? How does the dynamic work between the two of you?
So for the first book and for the second book, it was, very clearly I've worked on Ayla, she worked on Ariane but once we had the first draft, like we went in and started like giving each other feedback, sort of almost like a beta reader or alpha reader, or we would kind of go back and forth, kind of problem solving things together. And maybe like adding or editing certain things in each other's chapters to like fix, like she was better at like a lot of the banter and dialogue, and I was more into doing the kind of the scenery and like the colorful stuff, and also like the emotional damage.
Was there ever a scene that like one of you guys wrote and the other person was like, absolutely not, we're not doing this, this is horrible, or like?
No, I think it was, if there was a scene that was really bad, we were like, yes, yes,
Okay.
do it. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I can't say too much without really spoiling things. But when we originally, the original idea for the series, we knew like this is where it was going to start and this is where it's going to end. And the journey in the middle
was kind of
was completely up for interpretation. And so that allowed a lot of freedom. And in book one, our two main characters are not in the same space for most of the book. So we both had a lot of freedom in how that developed. In the final book, too, where the characters come together more, it was a lot more involved in trying to make sure things worked out. But there was...
Yeah, or if she had to write lines for Ayla, or if I had to write lines for Ariane Wynn or Wynn, or somebody that was, one of her characters that she'd worked on, sometimes like the other person would have to come in and adjust the dialogue to make it more in their voice,
Right, like Kaleidos,
And it's like, oh, he wouldn't say that, like,
but he would say it this way. Or, even just, we all have our own interpretations of things.
And we tried to write together a few times. It was very
At the same time.
hard. That was, yeah, because we were just kind of like freeze up and we're like just staring at the screen and we're like, what do we do here? It's just, I think that both need to have our own space to write.
So we had brainstorm scene ideas.
Yes.
Okay.
And then one of us would write it, and then the other person would come in and then like make tweaks.
Yeah,
But, like,
a lot of times I would plot scenes, especially for book 2 and like the novella. I would plot something out and then I'd be like, okay, go with it. And then she'd write it all out. And then, because she's much faster at writing than I am, because I can sit with something and work on it. I'm just very slow to write things sometimes, whereas she can just, I don't know, she's got that ability. She could just set a timer and be like, oh, I wrote 1,500 words. But I sit there and I'm like, maybe it's writer's block, I don't know.
But there was a pretty big plot point in the final book where we were not in agreement on what was going to happen. And it was very difficult because as pantsers, our characters kind of take over. And some of the things that they wanted to do was not in line with our original
But we figured
plan.
it out. Like, we were
But-
kind of like, oh, like, she's like, but the characters are telling me that we need to do this. And I'm like, what the, that's
People
not
are
supposed to
gonna be
happen
very
that
angry
way.
with us
But
when
then
they
we were like,
find out
okay,
what
well,
we've
let's
done.
figure out a way to make it work.
And
And-
make it so people can forgive us.
And make it so that it's believable as well.
So don't be scared
Yeah.
at all.
I'm very, very concerned for book 2. Oh my gosh.
As you should be.
Like I said, I'm mailing you guys my therapy bill because that first book,
I'm just saying, we kind of wrote ourselves into a place where like, okay, this is going to be a little bit tricky to get out of. And so, I mean, we did obviously come to an agreement, but there was like one specific plot area. We were like, how are we going to do this? And how are we going to make it believable and work for the story? And I think we did achieve it ultimately at the end, but it was very hard.
Yeah.
Sometimes
It took a lot of tweaking to get it right.
but you guys like working together, it's like two minds, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
what one of you guys must like thought of the other person.
And there would definitely be times when, there were things that like one of us had strong feelings or opinions on it and the other person didn't mind. There were a few times where we were kind of a little bit more butting heads, like, oh, I think it should be this way or versus. But for the most part, I feel like usually it was kind of more like she'd ask me a question. I'm like, oh, I don't care. You can decide, or, or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
It's also funny because there's like a scene in the novella where Valerie had said something like, oh, we rescued the seahorse Stella. And in my mind, I was like, heist. They're going to steal it. And she was like thinking like animal rescue. She's like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have put it that way, but hey, it works.
and then yeah, like I totally that's not what I was expecting. And then also like when she's told me that she was going to do the heist, then I imagined the heist completely different in my mind from how she like envisioned it. So it just was so interesting how sometimes you can have an idea and somebody else can interpret it so differently, which is, it's the same thing as with writing romantasy. There's only so many different plots you can have, and everybody writes it differently. Yeah, that's we have retellings and things. Yeah, so it's fun.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, because I'm eager to talk about this book. Let's talk about, before we even go inside the book, I want to talk about the covers and the titles of the books. Talk to us about the inspiration for the covers and what inspired The Stars Would Curse Us, like the title. How did that?
So we had a hard time picking a title, but during the editing process, I was, reading through, and there was a line that said, "The stars would curse us," and I called Stephanie. I'm like, Stephanie, I found it, and then I immediately knew what book 2 was going to be. I was like, book 1 will be Stars Would Curse Us, book 2 will be The Stars Could Save Us, and then this title for the novella.
The novella was never supposed to exist.
That was supposed to. This
Really?
was supposed to be part of this. It was all supposed to be mixed together.
Oh.
But this would have been a little bit too fat for a sequel.
Fair.
So, and this was actually supposed to just be like a little novella, but it almost became a full-length novel because there was a lot of really good stuff to include.
Did fans want, like readers want the novella, or was that something you guys
what
came up
kinda
with?
happened
There was
was
an
we
important
originally-
story that needed to be told.
We originally had hoped to release book 2, The Stars Could Save Us, in like the fall or the summer of 2024.
But we hadn't written it yet.
But it just wasn't happening. And as I had been writing, like in between book 1 and 2, I started writing what happened to Arianwen at the end of book 1, kind of like her story. And it kind of just took on more of a life of its own. It was like, this story needs to be told. And then we also figured, you know what, this way it gives us a little bit more wiggle room and time, and we can be like, hey, here's a little teaser for you guys to read until you can get to book 2, because book 2 turned out to be a lot more work, mainly because of the fact that we're trying to wrap up this whole storyline, and especially with the scenes just, with them being more together, it just required a lot more work.
And it was a much higher word count as well. So editing that, the multiple rounds of editing, it's just much more time consuming.
So
Was it originally like 2 books, or did you
We
want
wanted to do a duet.
you wanted to do it? You knew from the start that it was going to be okay.
Yeah.
And so then the novella kind of became like a bonus. And you don't have to read it to understand book 2, but I feel like it makes it a much richer experience because you get to see the background and you get to meet characters that show up in.
Yeah, the characters won't have as much, you won't feel as connected to certain characters if you haven't read.
But I know that there's probably people who just skip it because
Yeah, but
we
you
tried
shouldn't.
to
I
make
don't
it
think
so that you
skip it,
that you could skip it and it wouldn't.
Yeah.
But you don't get the full experience if you
Yeah.
skip
we always
it.
tell don't skip the
Yeah,
novella,
don't
please.
skip it. Yeah.
Don't worry,
We should have just said book
It's
2.
small enough that you
We
can
should have just said it's book 2 and made
Yeah.
we should have just made it a trilogy. But
Yeah. Can we change it? I mean, we did self-publish, so I guess we could probably change it. Like, we could do whatever the hell we want to do.
Valerie, I know you designed the covers.
Yes.
Please talk to us about them because I am obsessed with them.
So, I did a little bit of art in college, and so Stephanie always knew I was artsy, and she's like, you should do the cover, and we'll save some money, because covers are expensive.
Yes.
And I hadn't done art in a long time, so this was kind of a reintroduction for me, and this time was actually the first time I really got into doing digital art, because back in the day you had to have a Wacom tablet, and so I did some graphic design. But now I got to use my Photoshop experience from the graphic design, but also draw on my iPad on Procreate, and it was very hard. I had probably 9 terrible versions before we came up with this, and the hardest part was getting the words to show up but anyway, there are sort of some symbolic aspects to the cover, as you see the there are flowers on all of the covers. This one has roses. Part of that is sort of because it is a marriage trial and it's giving a little bit like The Bachelor. So you have the roses in The Bachelor. So that was kind of like where I got the idea for the roses. And you have like these pillars sort of representing, you know, Colosseum kind of vibes, like the arena where they're doing these trials. The stars. This is one of the characters. This is should I say who they are? Yeah. This is Arianwen. This is Ayla. And then there's some little secrets in here. So you have the key and the dagger. And then under the cover,
The elements in the corners.
and the elements in the corners, yeah. And then under the cover we have here, this is Ayla with the butterflies, which is something you'll pick up on in the book. She's got a rose. And then, and this is also one of the important symbols that you'll see in the chapter headings, which let you know that it's an Ayla chapter. And this is Arianwen with her symbol. Some birds like the Aquilas. She's got a mortar and pestle because she's a healer, and a violet, which are healing. They symbolize healing.
And what are their symbols? Because they're different, right?
Oh,
So
yes. So this would be earth. It's the leaf. This is water. It's like a wave. You got fire, little flame, and this is wind. Because, I mean, I don't know how you show wind except a cyclone, maybe. And then we had fun with the novella. So with the novella, we have a seahorse here, which you'll see why there's a seahorse. There's a sticky bun. It's a cinnamon roll. It's dripping, sticky, oozy. Smells delicious. We had a special seashell here and, like, you know, wedding bands. So, and here we have beautiful plumeria because it's a tropical.
Is the back the same as the front?
It's a different
Oh.
picture, yes. And then, and also here we have the front, yeah, so Ayla and Arianwen. And then on this one, we have Ayla in her battle leathers, because as you can see on this cover, the columns are like being destroyed and there's a tidal wave in the background. So some epic shit is about to go down. We have
Yes.
a little rat here, which is a very fun
Rat
animal
boy prince.
companion in the book. Yeah. Rat
Oh,
boy prince. Yeah.
We love animal
The
companions.
key again, a dagger. Because you know what? Fantasy books, I noticed when I was trying to like learn the thing, I was going to bookstores and looking at book covers, looking at fantasy book covers, romantasy. A lot of them had daggers on them. So I was like, I have to put a dagger on there for good luck. If there's no dagger, people aren't going to know that it's romantasy. So I tried to sneak a dagger on there. And yeah. And then here we have the star, the 8-pointed star, the mountains. This is like a signet ring and lightning. So
Oh my god.
yeah.
It's all symbolic.
Can we
It's
take
all
a
like sort of
moment?
symbolic, yeah.
Can we just take a moment to admire these books? Oh my god. Like, I'm obsessed with them. Like, there's just so much thought and creativity and detail that went into both the outside and the hardcover. Oh my god, I'm obsessed.
It was fun. It was definitely more fun to design.
Oh yeah, you can
Once
show
I
the
finally
artwork.
had this design, it made it a lot easier to do these ones because it was like, okay, so instead of the pillars, I did the palm trees. You know,
love
like so it just
that.
kind of was fun to kind of in the
Did
each
you
book.
show the artwork in the book?
Yeah, yeah, and this one has gardenia flower. Sorry.
I love the flower. No, I'm a florally person.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, what am I showing? The artwork?
artwork.
Okay. These ones, I did a couple of portraits of Ayla and Arianwen.
And you designed in those as well, right? You drew
I
those.
drew these, yes, on my iPad. Yeah. This is Arianwen, and this is Ayla.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
It is
It's
gorgeous.
Oh my
and then
God.
in this one only has one piece of artwork and
so gorgeous.
cute little romantic
I love that
just
picture.
piece of artwork. It's too bad it's not in color because the color one is really pretty as well.
There is a one in color on your Instagrams.
media,
Yes,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I.
And sometimes we'll hand them out like if you buy the book on our Etsy shop, we'll put some swag in it, and this book would come with the color print.
Shout out, go on Etsy.
Link in the description.
Oh yeah, this one we decided to do things differently and kind of put them in the chapter where they sort of were.
Yeah, it's a little freaky.
You are so talented. It's insane. Oh my god.
And then there's one more that is because I
Yeah.
can't find it. I can't find it. Oh, there it is.
Oh, there
It was. It only took me forever. This is Ayla and Cal. So yeah, if you're on our Instagrams, you probably have seen most of the art because
Yes, I remember that picture. Oh my gosh.
I'm very grateful that Valerie has such artistic skills. Because
And I'm grateful that she was able to learn how to do all the HTML for the formatting, because she had to format it not only for the physical books, but also for the ebooks, which there's a lot of, coding that goes into that to make sure that it flows properly.
Unfortunately, I
because
just
things they just glitch out and they don't always translate same way.
Well, we also were trying to work with the apps that we had. Like, you can spend money to buy like fancier editing or like formatting programs, but we were trying to like
Do it on a budget.
do it on a budget because it's actually surprisingly not, it's expensive to publish books, and editors are expensive, and all the different processes of buying like the ISBNs for the books and everything like that. It all just kind of adds up, but it's definitely nice having someone to do it with. You're not just doing it on your own.
And it's not like I said, the level of detail in all of the art and the illustrations. You guys are such a perfect duo. It's insane. You oh my God. Let's talk about the series. So how did you guys come up with it's elemental magic, and it's a very interesting magic system and world building. So how did you guys come up with it? Tell me what was in your brilliant minds.
I just started kind of jotting down some ideas. That was one of the first things that I came up with was, okay, we've got 4 different elements, and I came up with, that was kind of where we started it. I was like, we got the 4 different elements, and then we had the iris, which are kind of like almost like a mixture of all of them. They have all of the powers. And then I thought it would be interesting, which in hindsight was really kind of annoying, especially
Very
when
hard to find artwork with silver skin
Yeah.
and gold skin and bronze.
when trying to promote the book and come and find like royalty-free images, and also commissioning art to get people to understand, no, her skin is actually silver. Like, it's actually silver. And like, what? Like, yeah. And it doesn't always look, I feel like, as we pictured in our minds, like, oh, how do you even draw marbled skin that's iridescent and shines all of the color? Like, how do you even draw that? So it was a challenge, but it just sounded interesting and different and unique, and I had fun with coming up with like the different, based off of the periodic table, the names. We have the Aurum, which is gold, Argenti, which is silver, Arius, which is bronze, and then Iris, obviously rainbow.
And then Adamus was
Adamus
supposed to means diamond.
It's like diamond, yeah.
What?
So
Yeah.
everyone's
So
like,
it
there's a
kinda
lot
makes
of
sense.
A names, and we're like, well,
It's
that's the
intentional.
Latin. And
But that's why we did include kind of in the beginning a character guide, like so that you can kind of refer back to that in case you get forget. Wait, which one were the Argenti or the Arius or whatever?
Right.
That is so cool. Oh my God, I just learned that. That's amazing. Wow, you guys are so
And then
creative.
the magic system, I feel like we just kind of like, we're like, okay, water, fire, and then it didn't really make sense, but we had to just kind of like figure it out as we wrote, and then, oh wait, how do we recharge? And our editor actually kind of helped us with that a little bit, because she would kind of sometimes give us questions about like, well, like, what are the limits? And she had a little bit more, she had a lot more experience than we did when we first started this, but it helped us to kind of round out, and that's why you have to have a good editor, somebody who will actually give you those hard questions that you have to figure out. Right. Because you can't just have a magic system without rules,
That's right.
We try to keep it somewhat simple and accessible and not make it really, really complex. But at the same time, honestly, we had the most fun in book 2, The Stars Could Save Us, when we had the different elementals coming together and being able to see how does it work if they both use their powers, and like what kind of cool fight moves can they do, like combining their gifts.
Because one of the reasons why the iris kept everybody separate was because they knew that they were stronger together. Right. So we had to show now, okay, how do we show that they are stronger together? How do we show that they work together? And so being able to combine their powers and do some cool stunts is really fun.
Yeah. See, that was gonna be my other question. Like, what was what were you trying to show through the separation? Like, because I know the elements, they can't merge. They have to like stay in their own lane, so to speak. So, what message were you guys trying to give to the readers in terms of like the iris being controlling? And
I mean, I think historically in like even in our real world, but it's a common practice for people to separate or be separated from others that might empower and encourage and strengthen each other. And so that's a part of controlling nature as well as keeping people separate. And so it just made sense. And I think it's a really beautiful thing to show how we are better together, to give that message of like, we are better together. We all have something valuable that when we combine, our unique separate gifts, that we can, do incredible things. Whereas like when you're kept, even like us together, if we tried to write on our own originally, it just wasn't coming together. But when we combined our two heads, I don't know. I think in life, a lot of things try to pull you apart and separate you from other people. Mm-hmm. When you come together and work together, you can do incredible things.
I think that's a very strong message too. That is very strong, because there's a lot and people try to force people apart, and we're stronger together. And I think that's just a beautiful message.
And then the other part of that too was trying to keep everybody separate and removing their history and their information and their access to knowledge, because knowledge is power.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And how you do it, how they use that as well to kind of control the narrative of like, hey, we are here from the stars. But it's like, is that really the true story? And something that we kind of delve into a little bit more in the final book is just the idea of there are multiple sides to a story, and how do you know what's actually true? So yeah, that was definitely something we were exploring, and I think is relevant in our world as well.
Yeah, because a lot of times if you look at things black and white and you hear one side only, you will be biased towards that one side. Whereas if you know the other person's story, it isn't us versus them. It isn't good versus evil. It is, each side has their own, I guess, kind of explanation for why they are the way they are and what they do and why they believe these things. And so to just kind of, there is always more than one side to a story. Mm-hmm. And then there's also truth, which might be like a bigger, higher perspective, which sees things differently. And hopefully, being able to seek truth rather than fighting based off of, which side you're on.
It's just such a powerful story, and the way you guys depicted it it blew me away. I wanted to talk a little bit about Ayla and Arianwen. So you guys said that you focused on Ayla and you focused on Arianwen. So why did you guys decide to show, because they're on two completely separate paths. Mm-hmm. So why show that difference?
I mean, I think that, for the plot, the most basic response. But really, we wanted to kind of show how you can have two women in a similar situation and kind of, their paths divert because one person is drafted into these games and the other person is not drafted into the games. And so, like, trying to show two different sides of the same coin, in a sense, mm-hmm. and how they both have their own rebellion in their own way. And one is maybe quieter and, maybe more on the background, and one is more, out there and actually fighting, and just kind of how there's strength and there's power in both of the stories. And,
and there's different ways to fight a battle there. There's so, like, rather than just picking up a sword there, yep. You can fight in the background. And
oh my God, that reminds me, there was a quote in the book, and I don't remember it word for word, but it was, even though I'm fighting I'm making a small, what was it? I feel like I have it.
Quiet rebellion.
Yes, it was something with the quiet rebellion, that she was still, even though like no one knows about it, she still feels like she's doing something. And oh my God, that's so powerful. I love this book. I will keep saying that. Well, now that like the series is complete, because the last book came out, I believe, in March of this year, correct?
End of February.
End of February. How do you guys feel from like the beginning to the end, when you were first starting versus when it being finished now?
It's a wild journey, that's for sure. And honestly, writing the ending was so much harder than writing the beginning. Mm-hmm. And I think not even just because, we're wrapping up a story, but it's also like you're saying goodbye to these characters that you spent so much time with and like agonizing over and thinking about and dreaming about and like, editing nonstop for, it was basically 2 years of just really pouring our lives into these characters. and wanting to make sure that it was a satisfying end for everybody. And wow,
I even was saying earlier, like, I kind of miss, it was almost like camp in a way, and it was also sometimes it was overwhelming because we would spend hours and hours. Like, there were days, if I had a day off, that I was working on it for 12 hours straight and just trying to get as much as I could done in between all the interruptions of like parenthood and but everything. And we were working so hard. I spent every second working on it. I didn't go tanning in the sun. Like, I feel like I didn't do a lot of things that I might have done. Like, I spent the whole time, all of my free time, trying to work on this book or social media, marketing it, or the artwork or editing or anything. It was very consuming. And so it was kind of like a relief once it was done. Like, I can finally breathe. I can finally rest and kind of take a break for a little bit. But I kind of miss, like, it's like, oh, I miss summer camp. I miss being on the phone with you and our editor, Rachel, every single day, and on Marco Polo, and you know, kind of you kind of miss that.
It's your baby, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you've been working on it for almost 2 years now.
We worked on it from 2023, and then we finished writing the book too, and it was like summer of 2024, but like with all the edits and everything, like it was basically.
But you were in it, like the whole thing,
Yeah.
and that's a long time, and
Yeah.
and now it's out in the
And
world.
I
And
think it was also, I had a full-time job. I think I ended up stepping back and going to 24 hours a week, but still, that's a lot of hours to work while you're also having kids, that you're raising and all these other things that you have to do. I feel like it would be so nice to be able to write full-time as, just that be your career. So anybody who does this as like a second job, it's a big thing. Yeah.
I mean, if you consider, because there was 2 of us, we only had to write like half of it, so
I can't even imagine.
one and a half books each.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah,
makes sense, and you understand why certain authors like only put out a book once every 1 or 2 years, because
it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Well, I know that the first book is on Audible. Is there a timeline for the other 2 books to be on audio, or?
So
Yeah.
our novella is in production.
It is. Thank goodness. I'm so excited.
And we have a little surprise. There are a few chapters that are from the male POV, and we do have a male narrator doing those chapters, which is so fun.
Can we know who the male narrator is, or is it a surprise?
It's fine. His
So Nicole Fikes is doing the majority of the narration.
Okay.
and then we're having this new narrator named Jerry Maynard. We found him on TikTok.
Okay.
We actually found Nicole on TikTok
Yeah,
as well.
and Nicole's
or she found
producing
us.
it.
But yeah, we just sent over the samples for them to record for us, and they're going to be hopefully working on it this summer, and depending on how long that all takes, it's possible it'll be out maybe in September.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
And then we can start.
And then we need to like figure out the next book. I mean, unfortunately, it does cost money, and it's.
Mm-hmm.
But we have actually a lot of events coming up this August and September, and we're hoping that those events will help fund.
Yeah,
audio.
yeah. Once Upon a Con, and also Books, Gowns, and Crowns, which is so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then a couple other smaller like events. We're doing one in Annapolis at the beginning of August, and then another one in Virginia. How do you know the Blend Coffee Bar in Ashburn?
I have not heard of that.
It's a really cute little coffee shop in Ashburn, and I've been there a couple times now selling books. But they're having like a local author, like kind of fair with like 30-40 authors.
When is this?
August 9th in Northern Virginia.
Yeah, our August weekends are booked up.
Yeah,
with
we're basically
bookish
like
things. Yeah,
we're
so it's
doing
really
that.
But that's
exciting.
awesome,
This
though.
is our year to finally start like
Yes, it's
selling
exciting.
what we worked on. Yeah.
These people need to read these books. So that's good for you. I'm so excited for you guys. Oh my goodness. For the audiobooks, is there any sometimes audiobooks get picked up by translators. Is there anything happening in that?
So we
Path.
do have a translation deal for Brazilian Portuguese coming out maybe next year,
Bea is so excited for that. Yeah.
and that is for the ebook and the print rights. I don't know when.
So we're coming to Brazil.
Yeah.
Yes!
I'll take you there.
So that was so exciting. We found that out earlier this year, and I mean, our dream would be to see the book in multiple languages. We both lived overseas in Europe when we were kids and both spoke German. So having it translated in German would be really cool. Maybe
Yes,
someday.
yeah.
We just need to find some German readers to be like, hey.
Yeah, we had like a friend reach out to us and they were like, can we read it in German? We're like, we haven't gotten that translation yet. And she's like, it's okay, I'll read it in English. I love it.
But
That's
That is
awesome.
amazing.
That's awesome. Bea is ready for
It
it.
makes me so happy.
She's ready.
So happy. Like, let's go. Yeah, it was really exciting to hear. Wow, it's almost a good day reading. Like, our book is going to be translated into another language. It's just really exciting.
I'm so
Like,
excited.
that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
That's huge. That's really is huge. Well, now that the series is over, I'm going to direct this question to Stephanie first because I know you're working on something on the solo on the side. Tell us about your book coming up.
So, I have I would say it's the first in a series of interconnected standalones. It's a fantasy romance. And the first book is called The Sun and Her Shadow. It's kind of a Cinderella / Robin Hood retelling. And got missing gods, missing memories, marriage of convenience.
I'm
you
so
all the
excited.
really fun stuff.
You should just tell them the blurb because the moment I read the blurb, I was hooked. I was
I
like, oh
don't
my
have it
gosh.
memorized.
Check
It's
Instagram.
good.
It's there.
Good.
But yeah, it was really a completely different experience writing a book solo. And also kind of like a challenge to myself, like, can I do this? Like, do I have what it takes to like actually start and finish something on my own? And as far as like what I've heard from early readers is that it's just very like bingeable, and just my husband's been reading it and he's just cracking up all the time. So
good.
it has a lot of humor infused into it. It's not as much on the emotional damage side because I don't have Valerie whispering little things in my ear.
She can give you a little bit of.
My brother is reading this right now, and he said to me the other day, you must have been in a really dark place when you wrote that. I was like, yeah, I mean,
You have to get inspiration from somewhere, right?
and I do use my trauma to write, and I use writing to work through my trauma. So I mean, it makes sense. So, but not that those things happened necessarily, everything in there, but it's fun to sometimes explore those darker things and kind of. It's fun. I like to write the villains too. But anyway, not to take away from, she's always really good with the humor, and I can't always find the humor. So I always like that she's good with
I think
that.
that is definitely some like emotional stuff that's going. I'm not saying it's just like a funny book, but it is maybe a little bit cozier than The Stars Would Curse Us. And because it's a standalone, it has, a happy ending at the end and it's all wrapped up. But there are like little clues and almost kind of like a couple things that are left hanging that will bring you into the next story, which you meet the couple in this book. And then, but it kind of like, you don't really know what's going on with them at the end. So you're kind of like, hopefully like it'll encourage people to want to read the next one, but it'll be like its own, also a standalone. And hopefully you'll get to see some of the other characters along the way that you've already gotten to know.
I always
But-
love reading a book where there's like something thrown in from, another book that you
So,
read, and you're like, wait,
I didn't tell Valerie this, but there is like a tiny little like nod to The Stars Would Curse Us in The Sun and Her Shadow.
Really?
And this is not super spoilery, but like the one character is in her home library and she's looking at her books and she's like, she sees a book and she's like, oh, I want to read this book. This is one of my favorite books. And it's called The Fall of the Iris. So it's just like a tiny,
Oh my god!
like, it's just kind of like, okay, it's
It's a nod.
like a little nod
Yes.
to the story. I had to do it because it's like, that was like, part of our starting out and just having like tiny little, Easter egg in the book, and that most people probably would not know what it means. But if you've read The Stars Would Curse Us, you'll be like,
Read the series.
so yeah, it's super exciting. And that book is supposed to come out October 15th. And I'm super excited. Right now it's currently with beta readers.
Valerie, is there anything that you're working on, or tell us?
This has been a break for me. I definitely do wake up in the middle of the night with like crazy ideas, and I think, oh, I should write this. But I've kind of been on a little bit of a hiatus, kind of working on some mental health and like personal family things, but I do really want to get back into writing soon, and I don't know if that's going to be with Stephanie, hopefully, or if I'll ever be able to write anything on my own. We'll see. I do kind of want to take that challenge, but I don't know.
I will say the emotional damage, I'm waiting for it again. So
It's coming.
I'm ready for you to rip my heart out
I
again.
did actually just write, like, yesterday for fun. I wrote a little kind of spicy scene,
Oh.
and
Stephanie didn't even, she was like, whoa.
and I had fun with it. And I was kind of like, wait, I miss doing this. So we'll see. Maybe,
It'll come back.
Yeah.
The spark will come
I
back.
think I just gotta get started, get myself into it again. Yeah.
Well, we're waiting. Well, patiently, of course.
pressure, though.
No pressure. But I am waiting. Now, I just kind of final wrap-up question here. Now, you guys come such a long way, both individually and together. What advice would you give yourself when you first started this journey in writing The Stars Would Curse Us?
I wish I would have done it sooner. You know.
That's awesome.
I mean, I can't think of anything else really. Like I wish I would have done it sooner.
I mean, I think that along the same vein of just, I wish that I would not have held myself back and told myself that I wasn't good enough, and just encourage myself to go for it and, you know, just write the dang thing. And
Yeah, I think it's the insecurities. Yeah. One of the best pieces of advice that I had come across right in the beginning when we first decided to write, because I was kind of like, I don't even know if I'm qualified for this. Let me just do a couple quick Google searches and, like, do you have to be qualified to be a writer? Like, do I have to have a literature degree or like a writing? Because I'm like, is anyone gonna want to read a book by like a nurse? You know, I have an acting background. Like, you know, I'm just trying to like wrap my head around it. And when I was reading these kind of like blogs about like how to write a book and what are the important things to know, one of the pieces of advice that really helped me the most was, when you're writing the book for the first time, do not edit it. Just write the first draft. Like, literally, do not edit. Like, just write it.
Just get it on paper.
Get it on paper, and then you can go and fix it and change it afterwards. And that was the best thing that kept me moving forward, because I can overanalyze things, and if I was gonna, you know, I never would have finished. And I think that's what happened when I had tried in the past, is I would write and I would just keep tweaking, editing, and I would get stuck on one scene, and then I'd lose the steam to keep moving forward. So one of the best things was just, I was like, you know what, don't edit, just write, don't edit, and just kind of keep moving forward. And that's how we were able to get the first book out so quickly, or get the first draft out so quickly.
right. I mean, you can't edit something that doesn't exist.
Exactly. Yep.
And I think that
And not striving for perfection when you first write it. Just get the stuff out there, get the story, get the bones. And we are actually underwriters. We notice we're both very much, we get the bones out, and then we go in and every time we edit, every round we add more to it, because they're always asking for more. There was a scene that I had to keep adding more to. My editor was like, I want more here. The beta readers were like, we want more. And I was so resistant. I was like, I don't want to write more. This is enough. But I'm like, but I guess it's a good thing that they want more and not less, you know, because that would probably be worse if they were like, we don't need this, like, you know. So they were asking for more, so that means you must be doing something right, you know. But I had to kind of ask Stephanie sometimes, like, Stephanie, can you please write it, because I don't want to write this, and like, I don't think it needs more, but they all want it, so can you help me? Like,
Well, that's the perk of having a co-author, right? It's like, I don't want to do it. Can you do it?
Yeah, there were definitely times when I was just like, I was so resistant to writing like some of the like the ending scenes in the book. I'm like, I don't like writing endings. Like I like writing the drama, and you can't put a cliffhanger in the ending of a series.
so I wanted to end my standalone and a cliffhanger so
Yeah,
that
I love cliffhanger.
I got
Writing a
to a
cliffhanger is
point where I
fun.
was like, I could end it right here and it would be so mean.
Aww.
And I was like, but no, I want this to be a standalone. It was
And we did leave. Okay, so the ending of this book, there is sort of a prologue kind of chapter where it kind of leaves things off for like up for interpretation of,
what could come.
could
next.
there be a spin-off, or could there be another, you know, sort of series based off of this in the future? Maybe not. But also, like, I don't want to tell people everything. Like, I kind of want to leave you like a little bit with like imagination, you know.
Right, but there's definitely room like for there could be more stories in that world.
Yeah, there could even be, yeah, there's a lot of stories in there that I wouldn't mind writing and telling.
But yeah, I don't know. I think that ultimately the other piece of advice I'd give myself and us as writers is just how important it is to find like a community to be with, to help lean on, because some things need to stay in the group chat and some things don't need to be posted. Like there's sometimes when you're going through it where you just want to like, you need to be able to vent all your feelings, and it's
There's
really
someone who gets it, who isn't going to like.
yeah, and it's better not to post it on threads. You just some things are good to keep it in the group chat, because you need the support, and there's times when you feel like you want to quit and you can't do it, and you need those people in your corner who are reminding you why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
I think having like a little village is super important to like remind you of like, hey, this is the reason we started it.
Together.
Yeah,
We are
exactly.
stronger together.
That's what that theme, I'm telling you. Oh my gosh,
And
I love
that's
it.
what Midnight Tide Publishing is all about. It's a group of indie authors, and we all like help and support each other.
That's awesome.
And they were huge in teaching us all the ways to do things indie publishing. And Stephanie knew a lot, because I don't know how she just knew a lot about it to begin with.
I Google
And then
Google.
because I didn't even know about the whole indie path, that she was like, no, we need to do indie. And so
I just was impatient. I didn't want to wait and have to worry about querying and like I just to me I was like, I want this story to be out there.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. Well, Valerie, Stephanie, thank you so much for talking to us today. This has been such a wonderful conversation. I am so glad to have learned so much more about you guys and the book. Love this book so much. Love the whole series so much. For our viewers, because I will force it to people, where can they go to support you and find your books?
So right now, all of our books, especially ebooks, are only available on Amazon. We're on KU, or you can buy the ebook. And we have physical copies on pretty much most retailers. You can get them on Target and Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and everything. But we also have some books in some local bookstores. There's like a few. I think Curious Iguana and Frederick carries some, and there's another Park City Books carries some of our books as well. And there's a couple like bookstores across the country that have like picked up our books, which has been really cool. So I don't have them all listed off the top of my head, but you can find them there, or you can also go to our Etsy store where we have signed copies that we send out with swag. It's something that we like to do just to be able
And in most indie bookstores, if you go in and ask them to order a book, they can order you the book.
Yeah.
So,
and we're in some libraries too.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Library?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And the audiobook is currently on Audible, but we are planning to take it wide and have it be a little bit more widely available once our contract is up with Audible. So
That's fantastic.
so hopefully that will be in libraries too.
Yes, because the audiobook, I can confirm, was amazing. I loved it. What about your social media for our viewers to find you?
Instagram, TikTok, Threads a little bit. We have a website, silverflamebooks.com, where we try to keep up to date with like the events that we're going to be at and everything.
And all of their social medias and their website and their Etsy link is all going to be in the description. Go buy this book. I will hunt you down. No, I'm kidding. I won't. The series was, I read the first one, but it's fantastic. I know the second and the novella will be just as fantastic. And for us at TBR Trio, you can find us at Instagram, TikTok. What else do we have? YouTube. Everywhere at tbr.trio. And yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss this interview and you don't miss any future interviews. We'll see you next time to see what other tales TBR tells. That's a wrap.